Kenapa?
Om Shanti. Welcome everyone. Today we have with us Sister Gopi. Just check if I can see Sister Gopi online.
I'm here.
Yeah, okay, I see you. Welcome, Sister.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity, although at a very short notice. I'll just give a little background for everybody joining us today about Sister Gopi. She is an international speaker and spiritual educator. She has been practicing Raj Yoga meditation for over 40 years with the Brahma Kumaris, and she speaks and runs seminars for governmental platforms and also ministries, businesses, and NGOs worldwide. And today she is here with us to share how to meditate and its benefits. So I shall now hand over to Sister Gopi. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. So good afternoon, Indonesia. And if everybody on the Zoom isn't from Indonesia, wherever you are in the world, I'm currently sitting in the hilltops of Mount Abu, Rajasthan, the foothills of the Aravalli mountain range. And up until the end of February, it was very beautiful weather. And now the temperatures are rising up to almost 40 degrees. So staying cool when there's heat is part of one of the arts of learning to meditate. I'd like to start off with one of the fundamental preparations required for meditation. And many of us sometimes can overlook this preparation, because if we don't make this preparation, then no matter what method we may use, it's not sustainable. And this was something I learned when I was very young. I was 8 years old when I had my first meditation experience. I was very lucky to have been taught by some of, some of the very greatest Raj Yoga masters here in India, in Mount Abu. And one of the first instructions that I was given is the preparation for meditation is a long-term care for your mind. If you don't know how to look after your mind and care for it, like you would a little child, or like you would, I remember the example I was given when I was a child. Do you like playing with dolls? And I used to say, well, I play with cars. But whatever you like to play with, you look after it. When you finish with it, you put it back where you found it from. It has some sort of order. And so there's something about understanding how to care for our mind, so that when we actually do sit to meditate, or we do have moments of meditation, it cooperates with us. I know that, trying to tame an unruly mind at the time of sitting down can feel virtually impossible, because your head is filled with so many different kinds of thoughts, feelings, emotions, that trying to be still, the time passes in battling, just trying to be still. So what does long-term care and preparation of the mind look like? First of all, the mind needs space. In our day-to-day life, we pack our schedules so much. And just imagine a tightrope, and it's a thread or a string, and you keep loading onto it. At some point, it will snap. Or imagine if somebody asked you to hold a glass of water. Oh, great, 10 seconds okay, 20 seconds okay, 30 seconds okay, 1 minute, then 2 minutes, then 5 minutes. That same glass of water that was okay to carry suddenly feels heavy after 10 minutes. And so a big part of our ability to care for our mind has a lot to do with managing our time well, so that we don't overload our mind, and at the same time ensuring that we don't carry any burdens mentally. And typically, a lot of the burdens we tend to carry are from the past. It could be things that have happened to us, moments and incidences of pain and sorrow we're holding on to, that we can't stop ruminating about. And so holding on to even one memory over an extended period of time puts a lot of burden and pressure on the mind. And when the mind is heavy, it is impossible to take off. It is impossible to lift off in meditation. So I want to tackle these two things first before actually going into a methodology. Now, in the first instance, when we talk about giving ourselves mental space, what's very important is to understand how to manage the thoughts that you're having in a day. Just as you manage your time, you organize your time according to tasks, it's pretty much the same with thoughts. And thoughts generally fall into 4 categories. The first category, and they're not in any order, but I'll just share them with you. Of course, one of the most obvious categories is negative thoughts. Now, all of us are very experienced in this category of thoughts, should we say, and negative thoughts take on the form of anger, irritation, frustration, possessiveness, desire, jealousy, greed. Anything that is excessive and produces heat is what is sometimes, what is generally linked to negativity. Because negative thoughts, they don't come in ones or twos. They come in tsunamis. So, you open the door to one in your mind and it'll bring 100 other friends along and gate crash your party. So 1 second you'll be in the best mood, and the next second, oh my God, you don't know what's taken over your mind. So the thing about negative thoughts is there's always a space where your conscience will speak. Think of a time when you've had a reaction. And when you've had a reaction, sometimes we go overboard with our reaction, and we know inside we're going overboard. We know we're overreacting, but somehow we can't stop us. We can't help ourselves. We indulge the overreaction a bit. So there's always a little gap where the conscience tells us what we know. It's a split microsecond of a gap, but we have to learn to extend that gap so that we don't jump into the bog of too many negative thoughts for ourselves or for others. Because understand that every thought you have about someone is opening up a channel of energy towards them. So if you're having negative thoughts towards somebody, you're basically opening a channel where they are receiving negative energy from you. And when you actually meet that person in face to face in physical time, you will find that you can't speak to them properly. You can't see them eye to eye. There's something happened. Maybe a physical reaction happens between you two. But at that point, you won't attribute it to the fact that you generated a lot of thoughts about that person before you met them. So with negative thoughts, there's only one thing. It's a stop sign. Big, large stop sign. We are not going down that track. Because if you let yourself indulge in these thoughts, even if you are right, they will completely and utterly drain you of all energy and power. That's the cost for sustaining them. And negative thoughts have no solutions in them. They just don't. Have you ever found solutions through angry thoughts, through greedy thoughts? They don't have solutions in them. And so understanding that if I begin this track and let myself indulge this track, I am setting myself up to be fatigued, to be tired, and to be drained. Okay? And then the second category, and I usually call these thoughts unnecessary thoughts. They're waste thoughts. These are mundane thoughts we just let ourselves think about throughout the day. We let our minds wander, we roam around. And, you might be sitting on a subway or a bus or a metro, and suddenly you're looking at the person opposite you. And you're looking at their handbag and their shoes and their hairstyle, and suddenly there's a mental commentary beginning in your head. Or they might be reading a newspaper and you're reading the back of the newspaper, and before you know it, your head is imagining all kinds of scenarios, right? I would always also put two other aspects into this category, which is doubt and worry. Worry is about things that haven't even happened yet. And often they are projections of past experiences, right? And so we tend to imagine a future, and then when it becomes real, we say, we told you so, but where did it begin? So worrying about something that has not even happened yet is unnecessary. Having a doubt about something is unnecessary. Understanding capacity, understanding limitations is a different matter. Because when we work with understanding and clarity, we can move forward. But working with your doubts only just brings confusion. It destabilizes you, and it destabilizes whatever situation you're in. So unnecessary thoughts, waste thoughts that I call them, the experience and the cost of waste thoughts is you will experience a burden inside in your intellect. Your intellectual faculties will be diminished. When you need to focus and concentrate, you won't be able to. Yeah, this is the cost that it brings. because you spend your time daydreaming and all your thoughts are diffusing, dispersing everywhere, that the time at which you critically need to focus and concentrate, you won't be able to sustain that concentration. And the other thing about unnecessary thoughts and waste thoughts is that they will start to affect your physical health. I mean, we know for a fact negative thoughts have a detrimental effect on your health. You know, just one episode of getting angry leaves an impact in your body for 6 months. But waste, it'll just make you feel uncomfortable. You'll wake up in the morning with an off mood. You'll feel dizzy for no reason. You know, it's like a subtle burden that accumulates in the soul that affects the balance of the body. So this also has a cost. So waste thoughts are, you know, ask yourself, if you catch yourself thinking about something, ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this necessary right now? If not, don't go there. Go on a diet of it. The third category is what I term ordinary thoughts. And these are thoughts that are linked to your everyday responsibilities, no matter what they may be. You may be running a household, a housewife running a household, you may be a businessman, you may be whatever role you play in your life. There are certain thoughts you need to think about when you have to do something. The housewife needs to think about what she's going to cook today, when she's going to bring the kids up today. And I would say that keep those thoughts to a minimum. You know, sometimes you can be with people and they can say, oh, you know, I've got to do this, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do this. And by the time they finish talking about everything they have to do, they're absolutely exhausted. And they can't even do the first thing on their list. So, you know, this kind of overthinking about what I have to do will create heaviness inside. Yeah. And even if what you have to do, you still won't be able to do it because you keep thinking, I have to do this. Well, you know what you have to do. Do it. Put it on paper, look at the time, do it. Don't have the thought, I have to do this. It's not necessary. It is your role. It is your job. So do it. Now, if you do enter the territory where you're assuming roles that you haven't been given or you're not playing, then clarify. Should I be doing this or not? Because if you clarify that, then you'll be saving mental energy. Yes, sometimes we have this wonderful habit of minding somebody else's business for them, you know, and sometimes it's just really not necessary. Sometimes all people need is a bit of space, a listening ear, some encouragement, and they can figure things out for themselves. In fact, 99% of people want to sort things out by themselves. They just need someone to give them some spiritual powers, a listening ear, some compassion, some spiritual energy for them to have the space to work it out. So ordinary thoughts, have the thoughts you need linked to your day-to-day jobs, tasks, etc., responsibilities, no more than that. And then the last category are what I call positive thoughts, good thoughts, thoughts of, you know, good wishes for others. Now think of a time in your life when you sat back and you experienced a deep good wish for someone. What did it feel like? It felt good. And, you know, positive thoughts, they come just in ones or twos. And yet they're so deeply satisfying. They have this ability not only to send good vibrations out to the person you're thinking about, but they have the ability to make you content and satisfied as well. So, having looked at these 4 categories, ask yourself, how much time do I spend in which category? Which category has the heavier percentage? Because that will tell you your current state, why you feel the way you feel today. And so ultimately what we want to do is we want to actively increase the percentage of good and positive thoughts. So we need to have an understanding of this kind of thought management in our lives. You can't just let anything and everything run through your mind willy-nilly. You wouldn't allow the whole street into your house, would you? You wouldn't allow the whole world into your house at any one time. You wouldn't. You'd call your friends at specific times. You'd call your family at specific times. You'd call your colleagues. It's the same with your mind. And you see, the thing is that when we're tuned in to a very materialistic frequency, it's a frequency of energy thoughts. So there's a lot of people out there thinking at a materialistic level. So the moment you are tuned in at that frequency, you will pick up other people's thoughts about things too, because it's all in one channel, so to speak. So what I like to say is that we do have to raise the frequency of our being. So managing our thoughts helps us to meditate, and meditation raises the frequency of our being so that we can sustain more elevated thoughts in our lives as well. So it's like a whole cyclical effect. But very important to know that you have a choice about what you choose to think. You are not dependent and subservient on your thoughts, because the power of your mind is only an extension and an energy of spirit, of the soul. And so the soul is the mother at the end of the day. And a mother would never say, oh, I can't look after my child. I can't tell my child to stop. She'll find a way. Even if the child is distressed, even if the child gets upset, the mother will always find a way to make the child happy. And that's my job in relation to my mind. I have to reclaim that mother-child relationship back with my own mind. That's very, very important. Then the second aspect of carrying past memories. We hold on to past things. Letting go of the past is a big requirement on a spiritual journey. In fact, it's a principle. You have to make a decision. It's a decision. It won't just happen by itself, because our minds are habituated to be so unruly that, we don't have a very disciplined approach with our minds. So it will keep going back to something that it feels easy. You may feel weak, so that thing will pop up. Or what happens when we have old memories that are painful, emotions erupt and they bring back those memories. Something gets triggered in this moment and it brings back something of the past. So in that particular situation, what's important to understand, especially when there's an emotional explosion or a flare-up in your mind, especially linked to something from the past, there's a secret in the drama of life, and that is whatever has come has to go. So just wait for it to go. Don't indulge in it. Don't start questioning it. Why is this happening to me? Oh my God, when is it ever going to end? Oh my God, this feels... Yes, you're going to have to tolerate something, because a big part of the creation of our memories is us. We performed actions that went against our truth and that created certain memories of having received pain or given pain. And so there's always something we have to tolerate, but it does pass. And that's the beautiful secret. Because in spirituality, we learn to develop a lot of patience. And this is where the power of practicing the full stop in your day-to-day life is very important. Sometimes we think meditation is just about sitting down and meditating. Well, that's one part of it. But another big part of it is keeping your intellect focused throughout the day. So when you start something, position yourself and then start it. When you finish it, apply a full stop, move on to the next thing. don't take the baggage of the previous scene onto the next thing. And this, in the Brahma Kumaris, within our Raj Yoga practice, we have a beautiful practice that we call traffic control. And on the hour, we stop for a few minutes and we just practice hitting the red button of the traffic lights, allowing the thoughts to diminish and to become, let our energies become essenceful and peaceful again. And it's a bit like applying the brake in a car. You're never going to drive a car from A to B in fifth gear. You'll always have to slow down. In some cases, you'll have to stop. And so you need a good brake for that. And so learning how to apply the brake on your intellect throughout the day, it's a very powerful practice to start to create self-control inside. And it's very simple. Just apply the full stop. In the first few instances, it'll feel difficult because the brake is weak. It's not been used. But the more you use it, and the more you enjoy those 2 or 3 minutes of peace and silence, the more mentally you'll get a taste of it and you'll start to enjoy it. So this is the preparation and the context I wanted to share with you before actually going into just, of course, a step of meditation. Now, within Raj Yoga, we have, when we talk about meditation, what we actually mean is yoga. And yoga in Hindi means connection. Now, many times, what am I letting my intellect connect with? I'm letting it connect with things outside of myself, people, situations. And in Raj Yoga, the focal point for the intellect is myself. But not this image that you see here, not the face that you're looking into the mirror, not my role, but it's me as an energy behind this mask, behind these roles, behind this body. And learning to be with myself at a very deep level inside. That's why we accurately have this phrase, human being. The being that is in a human form, the being that is actually having a human experience in life. And when that being departs, the human is lifeless. The human energy, the human body is lifeless. And so it's always the human being, the human part of ourselves that's driven by the being. And learning to feel the subtlety of that being, the qualities of that being, the love of that being, the peace of that being, that these are the first steps in beginning to cultivate a deep connection and relationship with myself. Of course, stage 2, and that's later, is a connection with the divine, if you're comfortable with that. But the first step is absolutely mandatory. The connection with myself inside. So I want to spend a few moments now with all of you. And wherever you are, I'd like you to sit up straight, both feet on the floor, and just, adjust your posture a little bit, because when we sit up straight, it has a straight spine, it affects our breathing. We can concentrate better, we can stay in tune better. And I'm just going to take you through 5 or 10 minutes of a guided meditation. And we're going to go through a few steps. The first step, relaxation. The second step, becoming present. The third step, becoming aware. And the fourth step, connection. Okay, 4 steps. And I'll repeat these 4 steps at the end, so you don't need to worry about capturing them. So wherever you are, sit comfortably. And just feel your body. let it relax. If you're on a chair, if you're on the floor, feel the floor beneath your legs, your feet. And I want you to start to tighten all the muscles in your legs, your feet, your calf muscles, your thigh muscles. Clench them and then make them as tight as possible. And then release. And again. And release. And now tighten the muscles in your abdomen and chest. Pull your stomach in. Tighten your chest muscles. And release. And again. And release. And now tighten all the muscles in your shoulders, arms, hands. You can clench your fists. And release. And once more. And release. And now your face. Close your eyes if you can. And tighten all the muscles in your neck and your face. You can pull your ears back. Hold it. And release. And once more. And release. And now tighten all the muscles in your body all at once. And release. And again. And release. And now take a few deep breaths in through your nose, filling your abdomen and slowly out through your mouth. Breathe in and exhale slowly, and as you exhale, just allow any remaining tension in your body to release. And just enjoy this rhythm of breathing in and out. And now, allow yourself to become fully present in this moment now. The future hasn't happened, the past is finished. You are present here and now in this moment. And as you become present, turn your attention inwards. There are many things outside in your room, your environment. You are sitting here peacefully. And as you turn your attention inwards, start to become aware of the life force that is sustaining your body. There is a deep, subtle energy that is making this body breathe. That is looking out through these eyes, listening through these ears, speaking through this mouth. And as I start to become aware of this energy inside, it's a life force. I allow all this energy to rise up from my legs, up through my chest, up through my arms, up and concentrate behind my eyes. Imagine this energy of different colors inside rising up and concentrating into a star of light behind these eyes. I, the being, the soul, resume my seat in the middle of the forehead, behind the windows of these eyes. And now, very slowly, I want you to say in your mind 3 times, I am a peaceful soul. I am a peaceful soul. I am a peaceful soul. I am a star of peace inside. And I dive into this energy of peace and surrender. Every time I say this inside, I am a peaceful soul. I let go of everything else and allow myself to become completely peaceful. I am a living energy of peace. And now visualize the vibrations of this peace as rays of light. And the light of this peace is filling every cell in your body. And it's making you a lighthouse of peace. Emanating light and peace into your environment. And now, very slowly, open your eyes and look out in front of you, whilst being aware of yourself inside. In your place of peace. Om Shanti. Om, I am, and Shanti, peace. Taking this mantra, you can regain and resume your seat here whenever you want throughout the day. Just have an Om Shanti moment. Put everything outside and go and sit back inside. And let your whole system rest in peace. If you can master just this, you are 50% there. It's not rocket science, but it requires repeated practice. And this is where the subject of practice is like law. The mind needs love and space, and the mind also needs law and order. And so when we keep a routine for ourselves, where we initiate a practice for ourselves, that discipline starts to help a lot. It's just like when we eat. You have breakfast at a specific time of the day. You have lunch at a specific time of the day. You have dinner at a specific time of the day. It's important to fix timings to meditate in the day. And people often ask me, when? And I say always early morning when you wake up, because science has told us that in the first 10 minutes of waking up, the thoughts and feelings you generate in those first 10 minutes, they will set your mood throughout the whole day. So just imagine, rather than waking up in the morning and saying, good morning mobile phone, good morning Twitter, good morning Zoom, good morning Facebook, can we say good morning to this beautiful little energy inside? Good morning self, good morning life, good morning God. Just create that space to step into the unlimited in the first 10-15 minutes of your day. Yes, by all means, get out of bed, wash your face, have a cup of tea, and then sit down and generate this energy. Because the moment you generate this energy, you set a frequency for yourself from which you can operate throughout the day. Now, all of us have known that when you get out of bed in the morning and you have a bad mood, what happens? You walk through your whole day and nothing seems good. You start finding fault in everything, even though you may have the best of everything. But when you get out of bed and your mood is good, even if it's raining outside, you couldn't care less. Because a good mood protects you from receiving negative energy. That's why setting your frequency, tuning your frequency is extremely important. When we look at the subject of a radio, for example, you've got so many different frequencies. You have 99 FM, you have 105 FM, and at each frequency, you've got a certain amount of information. You've got music at what frequency, you've got chat at another frequency. And so in the same way, we have two frequencies. One is a bodily frequency, And so when our minds and our consciousness is engaged with our body, our bodily relations all day, then at that frequency, there's a lot of noise. And you will pick up everybody else's thoughts linked at that level, because that's what's vibrating at that frequency. That's the channel. But the moment you tune your consciousness into a spiritual frequency and you connect with the being frequency, then you will start to pick up good thoughts. You will start to pick up people's good wishes for you. You will start to pick up even God's good wishes for you. You will start to have touchings. You will start to have inspirations. You will start to have foresight. So a higher frequency of energy broadens our mental and intellectual capacities very naturally. And a high frequency of energy keeps us safe. Because if you've got your radio tuned in at 105, can you hear what's happening at 99? No. So you kind of just bypass. You know, many people say, how can you be spiritual in a world like this? I said, very simple. Keep your frequency tuned at a high level. You won't pick up the noise at a low level. And so as we meditate, and especially this methodology we use, we're tuning our radio, our sets, into a spiritual being frequency. And as we do that, we automatically start to tune out of all other frequencies. And then peace can become our constant companion. We can maintain a level of clarity in our lives and move through life gracefully. Of course, tests come, obstacles come. We're not perfect. We've got baggage. The baggage catches up with us. Our karma has opened up accounts that do catch up with us. We have to be patient with ourselves. We have to be tolerant with ourselves. But I feel that as we cultivate a practice of being, we can increase contentment in ourselves. And contentment doesn't mean having everything. Contentment means what I am, as I am enough. I am okay. I am enough. So I want to stop here now because it's, I think, almost 20 past. For me anyway, 3. I don't know what time it is for you. And I hope it's been helpful. And Jabin, I don't know if you have any questions or anybody has any questions.
Let me see if there have been any questions that have been posted. So far, nothing, but yeah, everybody can post their questions if anything at all. And Sister Gopi would be more than happy to answer on the chat. But whilst we are waiting for the questions, I think I learned a lot again today from you, Sister Gopi, as usual. It's been beautiful what you just shared. The frequency and reconnecting and reclaiming. What I liked was really what you said, that reclaiming that connection with our inner being. I think that was very beautiful, because with our daily lives and with this pandemic that we are all going through, we all have lost that connection completely, I must say.
Well, I wouldn't say we've lost it. I'd say it's been buried under lots of other things. And it's just about giving it priority. You know, people often complain, I don't have time to be with my family. I don't have, well, now you do. Now you have time to be with yourself. True. And time to be. And I think one of the struggles that people have is that we live in a culture of being distracted. You know, we're so used to engaging in distractions because our mind goes from one thing to another, to another, to another, and we kind of live life like that. And then when we've got that habit of extroversion, when we actually have time for ourselves, it's like, it's hard to sit with the self and go deep, because our habit is of not going deep. And yet the habit of introversion You know, this is a very useful habit. Introversion doesn't mean isolation. Introversion is an attitude. And it just means a state of learning how to watch what is happening inside you and to be with yourself in a very loving way, but observe what is going on inside you. One of the methods that's very helpful to begin, this process of introversion is do start journaling. Every evening, start to journal. What was the quality of my day today? What kind of thoughts did I have today? What were my actions like today? Start that process of writing, because I find that as we write, that focuses our attention. And as you start to write, you will start to get to know yourself. You will start to understand yourself. And hopefully at some point, you'll also be able to take yourself a bit lightly and start to laugh at yourself. Yeah, because that's the beauty of it. The being inside the human being is full of energy, and it's not dual, it's not polarized, its core qualities are love and peace, and yet the human part of ourselves is very fragmented. There's such a variety at the human level. And so as we disengage for a little period and just be with ourselves, let's write to ourselves every evening. It's a beautiful practice. You'll really, really enjoy it. And in this space where you have time to be with yourself, you'll be able to check and change what's going on up here. You're in a better position to steer the ship, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. We have one question here, sister.
Mm-hmm.
How do we maintain our good mood throughout the day and not let events and activities that happen during the day affect or change our mood?
Okay. So first thing is, first of all, set your mood at the beginning of the day. That's absolutely crucial, because that experience at the beginning of the day is the reference point for the rest of the day. The second thing is, in your day, you need to break up your day and find moments, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, where you can go back and revisit that experience again that you had at the beginning of the day. So it's a bit like resetting the button, applying the brake. So have a little traffic control moment, 4 or 5 moments in the day. This is very, very important. Excuse me, because what this starts to do is it will start to slow something down up here. Unfortunately, we're living in a world where the technology is giving us the illusion of speed. And yet things don't happen that fast. But because we are so fast in our thinking with it, we meet with accidents, or we raise expectations. And then we unnecessarily create a noise because of our own impatience in something. Let me give you an example. Events like, you could be texting somebody in Australia. Let's say you're sitting here, you're texting somebody, and it's great. You're texting them, you're getting an immediate reply. You're texting, you're getting an immediate reply. And then suddenly you send a text and no reply. And it feels like ages. Oh my God, where are they? And then you send out all these emojis and these, where are you, where are you, where? And then just 2 minutes later, you get a little text back saying, sorry, I went to the loo. So nature calls, nature doesn't move that fast. And yet the impatience that we create can sometimes amplify what's happening around us unnecessarily. I want to make that distinction, that events are happening as they are because there's a huge energy of balance going on around us. So learning to stop throughout the day is crucial to be able to sustain the mood. The third thing is that at some point, probably at the beginning of your day, the end of the day, read something. Read something positive, read something hold something in your mind throughout the day to practice with, not just read it as a piece of information. You just, sometimes we read something, oh, that was nice to read, but we don't hold that awareness in the day. We don't think about how does that apply to me in the day. We don't give our mind some work to do. And so because when we don't give our mind some work to do, we can't be proactive with life. And then we're at the mercy of whatever events and situations that come in front of us. Whatever people say, our mind is open to that. Things are open because we're not mentally staying proactive. So that's important. Now, I know there's a question that sometimes it happens when you start your day, you're not in a good mood, due to no reason. Why does it happen? Well, that has a lot to do with the influence of your past karma especially. And that's a whole different topic we can take up some other time with you and with a bigger group if needed. But sometimes we have performed actions that have left an energy out, that have given an energy out, and that energy is just coming back to us. Yeah, because our karma is like, it works a bit like an echo chamber. You do something and the energy of that goes out, and then like a boomerang comes right back, and you don't know when it's going to come back to you. It could come back to you in the form of a depressive thought. It could come back to you in the form of a feeling. It could come back to you in the form of an event. It could come back to you in any form, but it will come back in that form. And sometimes there are influences in the present that are not very positive either. Sometimes we're in toxic relationships and we're allowing certain things to carry on. And so those influences also have an effect on our mind. That's why it's very, very important, to pay attention to two things on a spiritual journey. What you eat, because what you eat eventually dictates how you think. It will control the mood of your mind. And so preferably if you're able to eat home-cooked food, of course, sattvic food that you've prepared with love, with peace, that's the energy you're putting into your mind, and that's the energy that's going to sustain your mind and keep it free from an external influence. And then the other thing is also good company. You have to eliminate toxicity. Sometimes toxic relationships have a very suppressive effect on the mind. That's a whole different subject that we can get into some later stage. But I think for me, it's rather than kind of shooting from the hip in life. Okay, what do I do when I get into this situation? Well, you can't create a manual for every single situation in life. But what you can do is create a general routine of living, of clean living, that prepares your energy to become more resilient to face what is to come.
Thank you, sister. That was very good. I think we all take care of our diet, of what we eat, but we need to take care of the diet of our mind, which is very important. We have a few more questions here.
Sure.
One is, sometimes it happens when you start your day, you are not in a good mood due to no reason. Why does this happen?
That's what I addressed now. I had read that question. So I just addressed that now about the good mood and preparation.
Okay. And then, how can we overcome the habit of procrastinating?
I think procrastination comes when we have thought this much, and from what we think, we say this much, and from what we say, we do this much. Okay? So what happens is there's a massive imbalance there. And we carry a load of unfinished thoughts. And that load is heavy on us. And so then it delays us from actually doing it. It's like a whole to-do list that's dragging you back. And then you just keep postponing because that, it's just too much. It's just too much. So one of the disciplines I keep personally is I have a mantra. Whatever I have to do it now. That's very important for me. If I have a thought to write to somebody, I'll write it now. It'll take 2 seconds. I've got technology, I can do it fast. If I have a thought to share something with someone, I'll share it immediately. If I thought I can share a feeling, I share that immediately and finish it, right? But then also in this process, what's important is that you have to train yourself to only think about what you're going to do now and no more. Because if you let yourself think about 10 things, then the one thing that you have to do now, you can't do well. And so I always have this second mantra in my head. What do I have to do now? What do I have to do now? And I focus and I focus and I eliminate. It's like cooking. You know, you have 6 things on the stove and they're all got different cooking rates. Put them down, put the other, and focus on the one you need to finish. Finish, next one, next one, next one. And everything has its own time to cook. Nothing will happen all at once. So sometimes we have to stay tuned to what's asking our attention in this moment now. Yeah, sometimes procrastination comes because we have desires. I want to do something that's maybe not necessary now as well. So really tuning into, what do I have to do now? What's the thing on my radar screen that's drawing the loudest attention? Leave everything, give that attention, sit back, relax, and then do the same process again.
Okay, the next one is how to tackle our mind when we are blamed at workplace for no fault of ours, but boss is angry and unloads on you while you have self-control that it's not your fault.
I think in that moment, what's important to understand is when somebody is getting angry, it's not because of you. It's because of them. It's because they are not coping at some level inside. And if you're able to understand that, then you can put some distance. You don't, because what happens is you lose control because you take their anger personally. And that's important, to put some distance. The second thing is that if it's not your fault, when things are calmer, it's important to go and say, this is my understanding of what happened. I appreciate you got angry and you got upset. This is my understanding of what happened. And you know, the third thing is, and if you can do this, ask them, are you okay? Just with a lot of love, reach out to them and say, are you okay? Because they probably don't expect that response. You know, they're so coping in their anger and they're letting it out that nobody's had the time or space to say, are you okay? Why is this bothering you so much? So 3 levels. 1, understand that when someone's getting angry or somebody's having a fit, something inside them. It's an issue with something inside them. Some weakness in their thinking, some weakness in their feelings, some weakness somewhere. They're not able to cope. And so anger is a crutch in that moment, a level of like helplessness that reveals itself in anger. So it's not about you. That's very, very important. This is not about me. That's important.
Okay, the next one is, I let go of the past and I am happy state of mind. Then how do I behave if I come across the same person with whom I had a bad experience? According to me, I deleted that person from my memory. Then only I found peace and happiness.
Well, I think they've answered their own question. I think what's important is to delete the memory, and then you can face that person fresh without any past judgments or images. You know, sometimes what do? Are we really relating to another being? Or are we projecting an image of how we would like them to be or how they were with me before? And so great to delete the memory, because then when you meet that person fresh, it's like you're meeting them for the first time. And that will let you sustain your peace and happiness.
Okay, and we have one more. Most of the time, our impulsive decisions are wrong. So how to judge that and avoid it?
I think the answer is in the question. The word impulsive is very important here. Now, many times I get asked the question, how do I know I'm making the right decision? How do you know you're making the right decision? And I say, there is no such thing as a right decision. You have to be right when you're making the decision. Because only when you feel right inside at the time of making the decision will you be able to face the consequences of that decision. Because it's not that every time you make a decision, suddenly the path is clear and wonderful. It's not. You have to face journeys, you have to face challenges, you have to face ups and downs, but you know why you're doing what you're doing. And so when we're acting impulsively, many times we don't know why we're doing what we're doing. And so it's very important to give yourself the space, be a little patient with it, and to feel, why am I doing this? What is important about this for me? And you will feel it, the soul will speak to you. But if you are reacting to something, you know, and I'm just thinking of the situation in relationships, for example. You know, we talk about people pleasing. And often that's because you're reacting to somebody's bad mood or somebody who's not feeling well and you want to please them. And so, you know, you make a decision to do things for them, to give them things and to please them, and yet they're still not happy. And on top of that, they don't even appreciate everything you do. Because people pleasing is a reactive process. Making someone happy is a deeply spiritual process. It requires me to have an energy of happiness first. Happiness and contentment. And then I'm able to send good wishes and be with that person and make them light. Make them feel light. I don't need to go extensively to please them, but the energy that I carry of happiness and lightness, they will start to feel light in my company. So behind decision making is a being. And making sure that that being and the frequency of that being is tuned into good energy. This will take time. But let me tell you, if you take this time for yourself to set yourself, every decision you make in your life will find a pathway. It will become successful because the seed of the decision is clean and pure. Okay.
So I think that should be our homework for all of us to try and practice to be light. Thank you, sister. It's been wonderful. And indeed, we would love to hear more from you. So yes, whoever are online today who's watching, please do give us your feedback. Please send me your feedback and we will request Sister Gopi to come back and join us and share with us her knowledge. Sister, before we close, could we just have a few minutes of guided meditation again from you?
Sure.
Would you like some music or something in the background?
I think we can just do silence.
Okay.
So wherever you are, once again, just sit upright, give yourself that self-respect. And just take a couple of deep breaths. And allow yourself to become completely present in this moment now. And as you do so, just visualize your being, yourself as the star of peace, a star of light inside. Everything else is outside, and you are inside, seated behind these eyes. A beautiful being of soft, subtle light. Let go of the awareness of roles, of masks, and let go of the awareness of even this body. And dive into your inner peace. I am a peaceful soul. And share the light of this peace with the world. Om Shanti.
Once again, thank you so much, Sister Gopi. So I will be looking forward for all the feedback, and we will get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Thank you.